must unite what has been set asunder.
We are TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heist Click and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine Ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die.
What is up, everyone? It's Saturday night, and I'm your sorcerer supreme, Frank Castle. And sitting here to my right, it's my etherical translator, Paula Milo.
Hello, everyone.
Before we start the show, I'd like to give a shout out to Chris and Cherie. Love you guys so much. Without you, we wouldn't be where we are. Thus, we're having Chris on next week because that's very important. We're going to start doing a Chronicle.
Yes.
Of all the different fearless beings that I guess that are just in our journey.
Yes.
Right, that we come across, that we feel we need to, put them in a chronicle. This is going to be about you
and
your fearless journey
and our fearless family.
Yes,
their chronicles.
Well, what I'm trying to do, as you know, not everyone that's going to come on is going to have anything to do with ayahuasca or DMT, but some do, some don't. There's some in between, right? We're all working towards the same exact goal. The goal is to get out of the illusion, to recognize what's happening, be the best person that we can be, level up, destroy the construct, and lock out the AI, punch a demon in the face. You get the point, right?
Yes.
So
see things for what they are.
As I move through this, I realize I'm a good teacher, I guess. I'm pretty good with the storytelling and stuff. I'm just telling the stories exactly as they're occurring. I'm not allowed to add anything. I'm not allowed to take anything away from it. But there are others that are just coming at it from perspectives that I'm not perfect in any way. I'm just a regular guy trying to do my thing. And I think it's time. Well, it is time. I don't think it is. I believe it is time now to start doing that. So we're going to start bringing people on the shows and let them chronicle out how they are going fearlessly through this. In the midst of all this chaos, how is it, are you capable to push through, pierce the veil, get out information? Not all of it will be about beings and UFOs or whatever. Some stuff might be just getting there through a good, healthy diet. There's no wrong way to do this.
No.
And so many people.
But that's the beauty of it. There is no wrong way to do this. We have a lot of friends who share a lot of different opinions. The ayahuasca route is definitely a route that Frank is comfortable with. I have different feelings. I think you can get there through other modalities. We have a friend, a fearless friend of the part of the fearless family, Andrew. Safe travels this weekend. There's a lot going on. We were supposed to have a guest speaker.
And she couldn't make it tonight. She's not well, so we're going to just send prayers out to her.
I think it's more than that.
Okay, one of the things we'll discuss this openly. We'll do it right now. Okay, working on the show and as shaman, we've noticed on very important high notes in show history or episode, whatever, or just highlight of life, something when the message is about to go out starts a few days before.
Yes.
And starts inching its way in at you. It tries to cut you down and chop you up. It only happens on certain nights, though.
It does only happen on certain occasions.
On certain occasions.
Now, we had a speaker coming on.
And she's not well. That's it.
She's not well.
Yeah. So what happens is it works up to the point everything's fine, and then not fine. Right? We've all woken up to the flu when we were fine the next night, had to go on vacation or had to get to work.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's happening here?
Right.
Like I was literally fine, and it literally throws you off, and then it just goes away suddenly.
So now, leading up to certain shows, Frank, there are entities that come, whether we're hosting sessions or we're getting ready for a show, there are entities that come and like to hang out and like to be a part of what's going on. And Frank usually feels this a few days leading up to the show. He'll have trouble sleeping. He'll have trouble with we'll have trouble with the equipment in the apartment. Things that can go wrong will go wrong. And leading up to the nights leading up to this tonight's show, Frank had a horrible time sleeping the past few nights, with the exception to last night.
At one point in the evening, late, my issue with sleep broke.
Yes.
So
I think the reason you were able to sleep was because they knew the host our guest wasn't going to be able to make it onto the show.
So the message wasn't going to get out.
Her message wasn't going to get out.
Right,
I
right.
think
Well, because
but they didn't want her message getting out.
Because they knew what I was going to ask.
Yes, and this happens all of the time. Now, let me tell you what's going on with me. I mean, an hour before the show, I have gotten the worst headache. I actually feel like I just took 2 Tylenol. I actually feel like my head is being crushed right now. I have the worst headache. And Frank, who loves to walk around as close to naked as possible most of his life, just loves, like if he could wear a loincloth, he would just wear a cloth. I had to strip down, and I'm being funny, but I literally had to strip down because the sweat is just pouring off of me, and I don't know where this is coming from. There is a breeze. The windows and doors are open. It's a beautiful October evening, and I am wilting with sweat, and it feels like fever and a headache. I feel like my head is going to pop off, but we're going to get through it because this is what we do.
We've had shows where
thank you for the healing energies.
I would go to talk on the show and get attacked live on air.
Yep.
Paul and I were just joking about this off air. We were laughing so hard.
In the kitchen.
Okay. She's like, I'm like, I love you so much. She's like, of course you do. She's like, who else can remove a demon from you during
the commercial
break and then get back on air, have you back on air in front of the microphone saying, hey, if Frank can't talk right now, it's because he was, being taken over by the attachment, and I'm going to have to just sit here and translate it out. And we were laughing because to us,
this is just a part of it.
It's just a part of what it is. All right. I was listening to Ra's show, Eye of Ra, who's going to be on the second half of the show tonight.
Yes, I'm very excited.
And they were talking about some stuff, and I kept thinking to myself, he's talking about exorcising demons with the guest he had on the show, and I'm like, as he was discussing, like, hey, listen, and this was the guest on the show, he was saying, the guys that remove the demons in the exorcisms sometimes can get taken actually by the demon during the exorcism. And I'm like screaming in the house, no doubt, buddy. I do this daily.
Daily.
Right. Like I was joking, but I'm not joking. Like I'm dead serious. In here, this is what we do. I remember telling you guys live on air, when did this become The Exorcist? I remember. You know what? Shout outs to Zed. I remember the time I was like, it went from unlocking people, and bringing people in and just unlocking them and having like a beautiful experience and crossing in. He comes in, sits down, goes, yeah, I don't believe in any of it. Gives me his little spiel. And I'm like, oh, this guy's cool. Right. We're going to have fun with him. He takes his third hit, flies onto the floor, gets in the fetal position, then opens up, starts flopping like a fish. And this dark spirit energy just starts pouring out of his chest into the room.
Yes.
Looks directly at me and goes, oh, so you're the one that brought him here. And I'm like, oh, great. And it just slaps me across the room. And Christy was there with me, and it held her across the room. And we tried for an hour to get rid of this thing. I screamed at him, do you believe in it now? Do you believe in this? Because you brought it here. Oh, yes, I believe. Me and Zed are very good friends now, by the way. And thus we worked on it horribly because we had no clue what to do, because really we were just smoking DMT. And Frank's trying to remember the shamanic details of the episodes that you can't plan for, because how do you, when did it say in the manual that a demon will pop out of your buddy's chest and start attacking people in the room under DMT?
Where is that manual?
Where is that book? Where is that written again? Sorry. Nobody's been telling me these things. I'm just in the Bronx. I'm like, hello, anybody want to help me with this thing? And then thank the gods, lowercase g's, for Paula and her demon removal service.
Hi, chat room folks. You make me laugh. You know why.
And I'm so thankful that you're there. But you came in the room and were able to put this thing back, this genie back in the bottle, so to speak.
Well, that's what you have to do.
Right? So, because we've already discussed what happened with that. But you were able to do that. Now, we're at this point in the journey. Right now, we were laughing, and not at them. I was laughing along with it, because I'm like, as a shaman, this is what I'm thinking to myself. I do the light sword thing. Okay, I did the pyramid thing. I did the Egyptian deity thing. I did the Shiva thing. I did the Indian thing. I did the American Indian thing. I'm going through all these things, and I'm like, we are all these things, right? Like, searching externally for it's interesting. It's an interesting story, bro, but cool, but needs more dragons and stuff, because it's really you. You can contact anyone you want.
From anywhere you want, any timeline you want, because it's all happening now. It's all happening right now. All of this history is overlapped, and it's all happening now.
It's weird. It's like I try to explain it today, the now, right? Like, I tried to do the spider web analogy, and it didn't work. And I just said, picture sneezing into your hand, right? I know this is gross, right? But just sneeze it out. And when it's crossing from your mouth to your hand is when you send it out to get the experience, and it hitting your hand.
Oh, is when you receive it.
Receiving the experience.
Wow.
So it just instantaneously, it's almost instantaneous, right? It's like, achoo! But in that split time, that's it. Everything happens in that one blink.
Right.
So when you say the now, whether you're 7 years old or 70, if you went and time traveled, you're just going to the now of that person in the now. I know it sounds ridiculous, and we laugh about this sometimes. Look, it's the now.
Anywhere.
What time is it now? Do you know it's now o'clock? Yeah. What time is it? It's 9:30. It's now 09. Right? And you just keep going with it, because you got to laugh, and you got to convince yourself that your paradigm needs to shatter. Right? So in the laughter, you'll cry. Trust me. Trust me in that, right?
Oh, I think
because it's shattering.
That's why I use humor for everything, I think. Because if I didn't, I would just curl up in a ball and cry. I mean, really, Frank, just the stuff that's happened in this living room alone. Just this area right here.
Well, we're going to tell you something that happened just... God, I talked about this on the show last week. She goes, dude, this just happened. This literally just happened.
Yeah. So every week we sit down and we have notes and what we're going to talk about and what we're not going to talk about. And, this thing just happened the other day. But this week has been so long that it felt like 2 weeks, but it just happened the other day.
Right.
And this is how easily it happens to anyone. People just walking on the street, and they don't even realize it's happening. They think they're in bad moods. They think they're just angry or anxious. They don't realize that it's not them. It's actually literally another entity clinging to them.
Yes. Now, this is one of the reveals, right? When the veil gets dropped. And I think it works that way individually. I'm not sure if it's going to be like, oh, veil drops, everyone can see. But if you've been blind through lifetimes and then suddenly see, you're going to have a heart attack.
No, you see when you're ready to see, when your body's ready to let you see, when your mind is ready to handle the information.
But the first thing is that you hear is the whispers that you start to automatically, you're like, that's not me.
No.
Even though it's in your voice.
Absolutely, because not every voice in your head is yours. Not everything you hear is your voice.
Right. And if you're not in control of your vessel, you're fighting for control. That's how it works, right? Because if you're not using it, then someone else is going to use it. You all right?
Yeah, no, it's starting to break up. I think those healing...
Because I'm etherically punching it in its face. Because that's how we roll.
Some of the chat room folks helping.
Thank you for all the positive vibes, everyone. All right, so I have to keep positive about this because I had a question myself again this week. What am I doing here? Now, I know what I'm doing.
What are we doing? What are we doing here?
I meet a lot of people, right? And I throw around that, I can't go into Walmart. I can't go into Kmart. I can't go into Target. I can't go into concerts. Well, I did this my whole life. Like, all of a sudden now I can't do nothing, right? I'm like, when did this change?
And you've gotten very good at it because you've been much better with putting up your protection.
Now I'm starting to see that it's not actually the crowds.
Right.
It's actually the people individually in the crowd that aren't handling their own self-responsibility correctly, allowing for things to enter.
Right.
Okay, so we're busy shining bright. We're doing our thing. We're doing all the right things. We're doing all the work. We're putting in all the time. We're putting in all the effort, the energy. We're consistently trying to hold the vibration, ground to earth, speak to mother, help be in service to others, dig through the information and not just be told anything, to go and search for it, to be all these amazing things.
Using discernment, just taking a minute to say, hey, something about that doesn't seem right, or something about that is ringing true. Just taking a minute. Lone Star, I love you.
Now, I shake a lot of people's hands. Hey, what's up, man? What's up, my dude? Oh, Frank Castle, what's up, my man? FearLess, what's up? I go through this all day, and I love it. And Paula will tell you, I can't get into the furniture store without having a conversation with the guy at the door. Just that it's like we haven't seen each other in 20 years.
Frank
and just
is
trying
like
to catch
the mayor.
up.
He'll tell me, okay, we're just running errands. Like, keep your eyes down and keep moving. And then I turn around and Frank is telling his life story to whoever's listening. And, and then I have to rein it back in. But that's how he is. He loves to talk to people. But sometimes...
Okay, so...
Sometimes he gets...
Some people are just poop containers.
Yep.
Containers...
Bad energy.
Of disgusting. Do you need this?
No, I want to open these pictures.
Vile, crazy, character with all kinds of beings kind of stuffed in, fighting for position. So this kid pulls up, says hello. I reach out. All right, his door, his window wouldn't open. So I grabbed the door. He was like, yo, my window don't open. So I reach in, I open the door, and I'm like, hey, my dude, what's up, my brother?
Shake hands.
Give me a handshake. Give me a pound. So he shakes my hand. And as I'm looking at him, it's like everything instantly slows. Now, mind you, these moments happen so quickly, you don't have a chance to think.
No.
You're just going through your natural routine.
Your natural routine is to extend your hand and shake someone's hand.
My hand's coming towards his hand, and I look at him in the face and see his eyes, and I'm like, I think I know this guy. Like, I've seen him before. He looks kind of grimy today. You know what? He looks like... I've used different words, but he was definitely poop container city, right? And I'm like, I don't know if I should shake his hand, and my hand was in his hand.
Too late.
And I felt as if my hand was touching a magnet to his hand, like boom, not letting go. And it felt like a third hand was holding both of our arms together. And I shook his hand and I stared at him and I felt it just crawl up my arm. And I'm like, you son of a bitch. Later, closed the door, slammed it. I'm walking towards the house and I know something's attached to me. It's squiggling all around me. I'm like, are you serious? All this work? And this thing just jumped right on me? Mm-hmm. Are you? And I was getting worked up. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this right now. Come into the house. Paul's on the phone, I guess with her sister. She's talking. And I just walk by her. I kind of stumble into the bathroom. And I start purging
immediately,
like bad,
which is good because
my reaction time is now
getting a lot quicker.
We're down to minutes now and not hours
instead of hours. So we're good. So now I go to Rose. I go, Frank's got a demon again. I gotta go.
I was heaving so bad.
Yeah, it was horrible.
And this thing, it's not always like demon. Like, they're all different things that get the name demon or attachment or whatever you want to call it. This one was, it was just as strong as the one I spoke about the last time that wanted me to believe in the devil. And I refuse to believe in that because it's nonsense, right? But instead of playing the game with me now, it would not reveal itself.
Right.
Like, oh, we're going to hide in you. Mm-hmm. It wrapped itself around my groin.
Yep, all the usual.
It hurt so bad. Yep. I said, oh, it's like it kicked me right in the... Mm-hmm. And when I went down, it like stretched to my heart, and I have scar tissue across my heart. It wrapped itself like a tentacle around my heart and just leached in and said, okay, you know the drill.
Yeah,
you try to remove it.
All of the places that
I'm going to kill you.
Before.
I'm going to stop your heart. Okay, try to remove it. And if you squeeze it off the heart, I'm going to wrap. It was so painful down there. I was like, wow. It wasn't in my my junk. It was under that, like in between. So I start freaking out. I can't even answer her. And I'm running my hand over myself, and I could feel it squirming. And I'm like, every time I get it,
goes
a piece
else.
Of it I'd get a piece of it, and I would throw it up. Right now, in comes Paula. You need some help? What do you think? I can't move. Sorry. She grabs me by the head, hand on my back. She can see. I'll let her explain this, but she can see as I feel it moving. She'll know that it moved from reactions and heat on my skin surface will completely change and go from cold to hot. And then you'll see it in my eyes. My eyes will bubble out. Yep. Like, like you've been crying for 6 hours or something. It'll go in your throat. You can't breathe. But your throat will actually expand, or it'll contract internally, but look like it's swollen. So it turns bright red. Yep. And then it'll move to your chest.
It's awful. It's just awful when it happens. It really is.
So I want you guys to know, and I'm not blaming it on the demon, but some of these things are just not us. No. Like, and we're not getting biblical with this nonsense. They're beings. They're creatures. Somewhat, they're totally conscious and aware of what they're doing, but they have a purpose to do some stuff. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
To see what's going on, and they just hang around some people. If your energy is low, if you're vibrating at a low frequency, you're going to pick up low frequency vibrations from other beings, other entities. But you're just like a big receptacle.
Thanks. So, as a giant receptacle, I find it at times I'm removing things from people, and I'm thinking like this guy. All right, I start blowing chunks out of my face, and I'm going, oh man. Paula's like, do you even chew your food? She's so funny. She had me laughing while I was throwing up. She's like, don't think I didn't see that, Frank. Right? And I'm saying to myself, this is absolutely disgusting. But there's no other way to get it out.
No.
Like when you watch an exorcist take something out of someone, right? If it's loosely attached, they just start throwing up, and they need a bucket, and they'll flail on the floor. Maybe you'll hear the growls, like you're just weird stuff starts. You don't know that you can make those noises till they come out, and you know that something else is vying for control inside your systems and programs. Yeah. And they know how to override that stuff. So you have to, this is why we teach protection. We talk about it, and grounding yourself, and then using your sheer will, because not everybody has a Paula, but not everybody's a Frank that needs a Paula. Sometimes it's a different combination.
Yeah, I've been in a few relationships before this.
Yeah. And have anything like this ever occurred? No. But yet you were aware that this existed?
That this existed, absolutely. Yeah, I just didn't think I'd see it.
So the snap ahead that you would date just had no clue?
No.
So there was none of these conversations, nothing like this?
Not one. And I can honestly say I've never pulled anything out of anyone until I met you.
I remember one time I got thrown out of my ex's house. She saw the little beings running across the ceiling and diving into the mirror. And she's like, did you see that? And I go, yeah. I didn't want to say anything because I was afraid you're going to yell at me. And she goes, I want you out of my house now. You're bringing this into my... I go, I'm not on anything. And she was just staring at me. I hate you. And then slammed the door in the bedroom. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm sleeping on the couch again. Damn it. I was like, next time, guys, maybe not do that. And they were laughing at me. They were those...
Because they were getting you in trouble. They were causing mischief.
I discussed this in one of the first episodes we did. I think it was episode 1 or 2. How they were climbing across the ceiling. They looked like starfish, and they were doing flips. Mm-hmm. And I knew they were like the little jesters because I had just seen them prior to, on the spirit side doing DMT.
And again, you can listen to this story and think we're crazy or not believe anything you hear. That's okay. It's still a good story. But
let me tell you this:
which is even
the truth frequency resonates with you. So if you think I'm BSing you, you'll feel it. You'll know it inside.
Listen.
You'll just go, nah, that part don't work for me. And that's cool.
And
you don't need everything.
Yeah, take what you need from this crazy story.
You have to. You have to take every little piece of... Look, even the enemy has a piece of the puzzle.
I know.
You know what I was going to say, right?
I do.
Even the dummy's got a piece of the puzzle.
Well, yeah. I mean, everyone has a piece. They just don't know what piece they have. It's like you have this mystery puzzle piece, and you don't know what to do with it, and you don't know where it goes, and you don't know why you have it. Until you meet another person that has another piece of the puzzle, and then you're a little closer, and then you meet more people that have another piece of the puzzle, and then you have a whole family of weirdos.
You can start manifesting this. We're building an entire family of fearless family.
We have a whole fearless family. There's
and
like
it's been manifested. You're all here listening.
Yeah.
And those that haven't listened yet are going to listen during the week and go, no, I know. Yeah. I know I'm taking my journey as a shaman.
But we're all part of it.
And I'm like, and you're fearless too. That's right. I'm not fearless. You're fearless. We're all fearless. This is
exactly. I mean, we have people that say, I want to come see you. You're already with us. You're already here.
We're already what we need to be. We just need to strip off the layers. No, we're not going to lose it. We're going to get it right back. We've already lost it. We descended, lost everything, made our way back, and here we are. TrueFrequencyRadio.com. Your protection.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR. Your protection from deception.
Am I awake or is this a dream? A fantasy where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. This is FearLess. I'm Frank Castle from Philo. Music that here is Frank Castle. Come Alive. You can find it on everywhere. Just go to YouTube, check it out. If you like it, maybe spend the dollar, get it. Check out some Heist Click, HEISTCLICK. And I really love what Unwanted just said. We should write a manual entitled, "Hey, so you have a demon." I love that. Oh my. So speaking about Fearless Family all night long tonight, I'd like to bring onto the show Fearless family member and TFR family member, Ra Castaldo, host of TFR's Eye of Ra, host of Exploring the Ka with Ra on Spiral Radio. You can check out themysticalspiral.com. Ra, welcome to the show.
Thank you, buddy. It's Castaldo.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. My apologies.
No problem. I'm really I'm happy to be here. It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much. I know you're a little busy doing some stuff. You're a busy guy. You get a lot done. I've been really checking you out lately, and I like the drive videos that you do. It's like just enough splash in the face with my coffee in the morning. I'm serious, man. I can't find information in the world of information anymore, and I'm starving for it. And we were just talking about how I went from, starting my re-journey and becoming a shaman again, like remembering who I am, to just having some friends over to smoke some DMT because I could show them love and ayahuasca and all kinds of cool stuff. And a demon pops right out of this kid's chest on his third hit. And it just kind of filled the room and smacked everyone in the room around. And then Paula came home. And as three were there, we were able to control it and kind of put it back in the bottle, so to speak. And we didn't know anything about this stuff. So when we were hearing your guest on your show earlier talking about exorcisms, we were laughing hysterically, like, hey, I guess a shaman, that's part of what we do too.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because everyone saw the same being.
Yes. What happened was he took his third hit. He sat down in front of me, and he was brought by a friend that had been going under with me, and she's fantastic. Her name's Christy. And she would and I would see things on the other side together and experience different beings. We had a lot of the Egyptian deities, goddess Isis and Horus were working directly with us with Anubis constantly. So she invited her boyfriend, right? So he came over, and he's like, yeah, I don't believe any of this. Like, I don't believe in anything you guys are talking about. But he was like an astrological charts guy. Mm-hmm. So he was by the book, and he was on the numbers. This guy was like, wow, I heard him. I talked to him for a few minutes. He sounds like he's on point, but that he doesn't believe it at all. Like, there is no free will. You're destined to just do what you're kind of written in before to do. And that's about as fancy as it gets. And I'm like, are you serious? So I had him smoke. And on the third hit, he fell on the floor and went into the fetal position. And he jumped, like, spread his whole body out, and it was like very stiff and rigid, and he started wiggling, and this thing smoked out of his chest. It grew into the room, into like a tornado-shaped thing. It filled it, and then with yellow eyes looked right at me and just pushed me back and was like, oh, you're the one that's talking to her. And I was like, what's going on? And then she ran over to me. She was like, oh, you have to chant at this thing immediately. And I'm like, you can see that too? Like, we didn't get a chance to go in and experience what he was experiencing. So it just held me down and then pushed her across the room. It looked like a giant, long arm, skinny arm coming out of smoke or something. It was very ghostly, dark, spirity, apparition-y. After a while, this went on, and then this went on for an hour. Paula she came home, and I seen her, and I ran to her for help, but I had these people in the house all going through this. So I said, listen, I did this, and I have this guy on the floor in the room. I don't know what to do. This thing's smacking us around. Paula came in. It retreated immediately into his chest. And then it started. She's like, you ready? And the three of us surrounded him, and she grabbed him by the neck, she puts a hand like under your butt, kind of, like under your taint, and then starts demanding that it leave, right? And this whole process of elimination, getting it back into him, was it was one of the scariest things we've ever done.
So you put it back into him?
Yeah, he didn't want it to go.
He was negotiating with it, so we couldn't it to leave.
It could be a few things. I mean, what my first intuitive thought was, see, some of these daemons or demons, whatever you want to label them, I mean, they are creations that sort of maybe can incarnate into humans in a way, and maybe that's what really is controlling him, is this beast, and they can incarnate into humans. And some people believe they are actually disembodied spirits from the death of Nephilim or giants that become these Goetia daemons or demons, and that they can incarnate into humans, and you become its host. It hosts this thing, and it could be that, or it could be that it's a manifestation of some kind of insecurity in his life that he made into a boogeyman or a monster that dwells within him. And, some people call it Mulungro, the 7 faces of Mulungro. And it could infect you like an alien barb virus, like a mind virus. And it shows different faces of the person. When a person becomes drunk, and you start to black out and you don't know what you're doing, then these faces start to appear and it manifests. And it could be a version of that coming out of the person.
That makes a lot of sense.
He has a lot of, and I don't want to discuss his stuff too openly on air, but a lot of, I have to bend to the will of this or do that. There's not a lot of free will movement. So what you're saying makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. A lot of times when we pick up insecurities through life and certain things that happen to us, that we can create and manifest some of these demons in our consciousness, in our psyche, and they can materialize and get imprinted and form. And when you become subjected to DMT or ayahuasca or things like this, your spirit form, your light body can appear, or certain things from that world start to appear, and you can now see in what's outside of your visible light spectrum before. You can now see and catch a glimpse, and maybe that's what was taking place.
Absolutely. You know, I was listening to the show pretty much in detail, and you know how areas will have keepers?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Check this out. We, on multiple times, I went on a little adventure.
Like what I was talking with Lake Nemi, yeah.
Yes, and I was walking in the forest, and it was weird. I had a walking stick because I have a back injury, and I had like the old hat on, and I was having flashes of me wearing this heavy coat, and my cat Squeak was this giant cat, and he was walking with me with the others. I was with two other people, and we were crossing checkpoints. And as I walked up the side of the mountain, it was getting like the atmosphere changed, and I felt something scanning me. And I looked up and I said, something's like scanning me. And they're like, oh, this is the part where you can't get past if you have some bad muju. Like, they didn't know what to call it. They're just like, if you're kind of negative, you can't go in here.
Yeah.
Like, they won't let you in. And I go, yeah, I just got scanned, and oh, there I go. I'm allowed in, guys. Not an insect bothered me. I'm telling you, it was moist, and it was.
So you were having deja vu while this.
Yeah, and it was the same exact journey I took back then. I was doing again now with my friends, and we just did the eclipse down in South Carolina, and there's a whole town called what's the name of the town? Fairplay. Yeah. Fairplay, South Carolina. That it's like a swampy lake area. We stayed right there.
Wow.
There were areas, there were signs.
Is that near Skateboard Swamp at all? You know if that's near?
It's right near Georgia. It's kind of like
Lake Hartwell.
Lake Hartwell. And it's funny, it's called Lake Hartwell, and we were at the house 111. And while we were there, the people there were all like Jim Bob and Joe Bill and stuff like that, right? They were all like, if you come across the lizard people, you treat them with respect. There's signs up, lizard people, Sasquatch, show respect, be kind. This is their territory. And I'm like, so you're telling me, I go to anybody, because multiple people said this, and then we got to the house, there's a book you can sign if you see them. So
yeah, well, that area is known for reptilian entities arising out of the swamp areas, like Skateboard Swamp, and I mean, it goes back to the 80s, 70s, maybe way even before that. I mean, Christopher Davis had a sighting in there, this black kid in the 80s, and it changed his whole life. He was like a good kid, an athlete, hard worker, and after that, it like ruined him. And I know he died, I think, by somebody breaking in his house and trying to rob him. He was a drug dealer, and he died later on in life. Wow. But his whole life was changed by an encounter that he had in South Carolina. He was coming home one night, like 1 o'clock in the morning from his job. He was 19, and it was, I think, Bishopsville, South Carolina. You could look it up. It's a known sighting. And he was going down near Skateboard Swamp, and he had a flat tire. He pulled off to the side of the road to change his tire. It was like 1 in the morning. All of a sudden, he felt something coming at him, and he turned around, and there was like a 9-foot humanoid reptile with red glowing eyes charging at him like faster than a car. So he just was finishing. He wrapped everything up, jumped in the car, and as he was pulling away, it jumped on the hood. It put its claws inside the car. I mean, when he went home, he was so shook up, the parents actually reported it to the sheriff of Bishopsville, and the sheriff believed this kid so much. I mean, they took it seriously. They saw the marks on the car, and there was more sightings in that area from a crop duster, a lot of knowledgeable people and well-respected people as well.
Yeah, now the houses on the lake were huge, and there was doctors, lawyers, this, that, the other thing, right? But the people, there was this thing about our contract being up with the Airbnb. It was like I don't know what day it was, but it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. And we had this giant Aya session, and then we kept getting the, like, you better be out by 10, right? And I'm like you're bringing too much attention here,
to the area,
right? But we were doing this thing where we were in the house, and one of the girls was with us. She put a bubble over the house to protect us, and I watched her turned into a light generator, and she was putting a torus of bubble though around the house, and it was really far out. And then it started creeping closer and closer. She's like, I can't go any further. Oh no, like our time is on a timer. And as we get closer to when we have to get out of here, which was the next morning, we have to literally go. We're not going to be protected. Our contract's literally up. And the light that we're shining here is bringing attention to where they are living, right? Like the people around the lake. I noticed one of the things with DNA, those that have like more reptilian DNA would be more likely to live in those lake houses, right? Because they wouldn't even know why, but they'd be like guardians and caretakers of the area to their reptilian ilk.
I agree.
That's, you know.
I agree with you 100%. I think their DNA is why they're there. They know whether they know it or not. Their reptilian DNA is very strong, and they're protecting that area of the country because it has to be protected so that those reptilians can do their business. They need people there that will protect them, and that's what they found. It was a town of 360 people. I
couldn't believe, I swear I could not believe what I was dealing with. And I'm a guy that deals with the unbelievable.
Yeah.
I went down the night before, the evening before, to say goodbye to the lake because I knew we were leaving the next morning, and it basically told me, okay, it's time for you to leave now. Thank you.
Yeah, everyone got that individual message.
Everyone got that message.
I was freaked out. The two guys with me were like, don't go down there. And I saw my shadow from the lake house, and I was like, hey, look, there's my shadow right there on near the tree in between the boat over there by the lake. And then I waved my arm, and my shadow was nowhere near there. It was like off to the right. And then the thing waved back to me, and the kid next to me started screaming. And I'm like, yo, that's not me. He goes, I know, you're not waving. It's still waving. Look. And I'm like, all right. And then we kept seeing dips in the water. And I'm like, really? Now, I had one encounter when I was in Tampa. 3rd floor of a building on the Tampa Bay. Everyone drank. It didn't really work out too well, so I dropped mushrooms as well. And 8 of them walked right through the window on the 3rd floor. People ran, bugged out. I just stood with them, and they were like, you're the shaman, right? You're the guy doing it? I'm like, yep. They're like, you're the guy that calls yourself man who walks in all worlds? I'm like, yep. They're like, normally, we would eat you. Right now, you'd be gone. But we don't do that anymore. We are to you to be known as the Watchers, and we're going to watch everything that you're doing right now. And I said, why is that? And they said, we're not going to interfere, but every time you do what you're doing, you're waking people up, and you become annoying to us on the other end, and you're going to have to be dealt with one way or another on the other end, but we cannot interfere.
Well, that light gets brighter.
So I said, you're not going to interfere. And they were like, no. And Rob, I've never seen anything. I poked one of them. I thought they were fake. I said, no, we're tripping balls, I guess. I was laughing. And they're like, yo, they're in the room. And I went up to one and I said, they're not there. And I touched it, and it looked at me and snorted on my face. And I just went, no, you're really. Like? They were, all right. You know the 8-footers? I'm a comic book fan. Bro, they were like the lizard from the movie, except way better. Way better. Like, they look like they would kill the Hulk.
All right. Well, what about...
No, they're frightening as it gets. Their hands are claws. Their faces are like not flat like ours, but they don't have giant beak like... They're not like the raptor beings. They're shorter, I don't know, faced with their teeth. They stare right at you. Their eyes light up, and you can hear them.
And you can hear them. Now, what about the time you were washing dishes in the kitchen and you saw them? And this is not on anything. This is just washing dishes.
We're on a ley line here where I am in the Bronx.
I think it's because we're on top of the subway.
Yeah, we on the subway line.
The subways are portals.
Well, when I see them, it looked like they walked in on the same line as where the train runs. Yep. And I'm like, what is this?
Is it like the 6 train or something?
It's the 5 and the 2 are right here.
The 2 train? Oh, wow. I used to take
on Pelham Parkway. Yeah.
The 2 train I used to take to like Freeman Street all the way down there. Yeah.
So, but we're up further. We're up further than that. And we're on Morris Park. So.
Yeah, it goes all the way to Flatbush, I think.
Yeah, it goes all the way. So in the cross section here, 2 times a year, in the middle of the day, you'll see them. You'll see them. There's worker ones. There's ones that beat them like commanders. I don't know
that area. That area is very mysterious in itself. Like, it's very ghostly.
It used to be a giant racetrack over here back in the day. There's powerful energy here. I can't explain it, but it's explained to me. It's the ley line that does it. Like if a ley line intersects with, let's say, the Egyptian pyramids, right? So if the pyramids are active, any information or things that you would get by touching the stone at the pyramid, you can get by touching anything on any ley line. So you don't actually have to travel to go there to get it. You can get that information by just jacking into those ley lines, because the information's already there. That's how they explained it to me, to explain to people who can't go anywhere. Like if you can't access or ever travel or do anything, you're not left out. Like people want to know that they are fearless as well and can do things as well. And there are ways to tap into the energy sources, especially in something so abundant around here in New York, which is blasting us with every horrible thing you can imagine. Where do you find the hope in that?
I agree. They call it sometimes the dragon lines too, or the serpent lines, and anything along that line, like a stone or an ancient rock or something. You can tap in, or even a plant. You can tap into the if you want to call it the Akashic or the record of that particular area or plant. But the thing is that usually before you can access information from one of these, materials or whatever you're encountering, that usually you have to negotiate with some kind of entity, or some kind of spirit will arise as a protector of that plant or stone.
It's like an avatar arises to protect the individual, whatever.
Yeah,
that's
all
why
the technology. Yeah,
I tell people it's all real to that degree. When they go, well, I hear people argue over Sasquatch and UFOs, right? Like you're a dummy if you think Sasquatch is real, and you're a dummy if you think UFOs are real. And they fight like Trump and Clinton back and forth. And I'm like, dummy, they're all real. Regardless of how they come to you, it's there. So just, it helps your mind. It helps me, at least.
You have to believe.
Because I used to get shocked all the time. And they're like, stop getting shocked. The astonishment of meeting these characters, where it was like turning my beard white. Like I was just freaking out. And then I was getting cool with it. But then you'd meet some of the darkest things you've ever seen. And I'm like, how am I going to tell people about this? How am I going to work through this? And I don't know. There's this whole process that I found myself going through to deal with this. I don't know. Like I deal directly with beings all the time. So I'm like, they're all real. Everything exists. There you go. It's all real. And then when it comes in, I'm like, okay, that's AI. That's demonic, or that's an energy from this character, or that's an energy from this being. That's these guys over here, and they have, they're monitoring us, and their agenda is X, Y, and Z. That's how it starts coming in. Once I believed it's all real, the magic is just revealed to me.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Before that, you were talking about, the lake and everything, because most of the lakes have some kind of lore, like of a lady of the lake, or something like this, of a protector. And usually the lady of the lake will have a guardian or a king of the woods as well, so go along with the lady of the lake. I mean, even like I was talking about with Lake Nemi, there was a lady of the lake associated. Her name was Egeria, and she was connected to the lake, and she was known as having power over fire and water and all types of things. And she could arise, and this was carried through Rome and all types of civilizations afterwards. So, I mean, there's all types of entities that have to do with the lake and the woods and their normal conditions of this planet. I feel that we're more the aliens on this planet than them. They're like a normal condition of the planet.
It seems to me.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
because I agree they've all already been here and still are here. And we were the last ones to come. I feel that this race, the human race.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, we were the last to come.
I feel like we trample on their stuff sometimes. When I go into meditations, beings will talk to me and go, you guys have no idea what you're doing. I'm like, man, I'm not doing nothing. And they're like, no, take a look at this. And I'm like, oh, well, that's a human doing it. And the guy in the suit's not even human, right? That's running that suit. And they're like, well, you better do something about it. And because it's affecting this, and this. Every time they turn on the CERN device, I get contacted by things going, well, can you do anything about that? And I'm like, why would you come to me? And they're like, you're just lit up. Like, it's your creator. You should be able to do something. And I'm like, I don't really know what to tell you guys. This is only what I've seen is reminiscent of what destroyed Atlantis. Like, I'm still new to a lot of this. and I try to just get the gnosis and roll with it. But I don't know how we affect things in that big of a way. But I think as the human mass consciousness that works on these programs and uses technologies to take us into these different areas and different arenas, you're blasting energy in different things that are living there, that are made of energy and different things.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like wrecking people's homes.
Yeah. I mean, if you're dealing with these kind of entities, Frank, on a daily basis too, I mean, you got to be careful too. You got to like always stay grounded and make sure you get rid of your energy as well. And I mean, it's good to be a shaman and like a spiritual warrior, but if you're battling demons on a daily basis, it will aid your soul. It will aid you.
Well, we found a way to they taught me. All right, this is gross, but we just talked about this before we brought you on. I had a demon attachment from this kid, and I went in the house and started fighting it. And what took me days without Paula takes minutes with her help to purge it out immediately. Like I accidentally once cleared someone and realized what I was doing. And then they were like, you have to purge that, it'll cause cancer. And I was like, wait, what? What'll cause cancer? They're like, that black stuff you just took out of that person. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then my heart hurt. Right. And then I could see it. And I'm like,
once you get involved with, if you want to call it magic or all of this, it starts to, which each and every encounter, if something clings to you, it starts to suck your life force a little bit more and a little bit more, and it starts to age you. And you'll see people that were very young and vibrant, and then they started having contact with demons or entities, even exorcists. They're known to turn gray overnight, or just start to wither and look like the crone or something like that. Like a woman is even known, once she gets interact with certain magic, she becomes like the triple goddess. She'll become the crone very quickly and start to wither.
It's funny. One of the things I noticed, and this is the weirdest stuff I've ever seen, Horus, Anubis, Thoth, at different times, right? I'll find them in the background moving and I'll be moving in the exact same movements, and it'll be these small ritual things. I don't want to call them dance moves, but like movements with my body that create certain things that defend against things. And there's a gnosis that I've been unlocking as I've been going. So everything that you're saying is 100% true. They showed me the horrible things that occur, because you can't just do it and go, oh yeah, I don't know about that stuff, I don't get involved with that. You have to know the worst. This can take you over. You could lose your seat in your body. And worse, I had to sit with everything from Satan to Source, and then realize we were in the illusion, and then everything was given to me as a representation of the all inside this reality, but not even from here, right? Reality, like jacked out area number 2, way out of the illusion, way out of time space that we would ever consider. And there was a bunch of us that jacked in right from there and jumped in. And we're like slicing through some of that. There's been times where I see Horus, and then they tell me, well, you're Horus. And I go, well, I don't believe any of this stuff. I don't believe it. And they're like, no, it's a program. You're the Horus program. You're not actually Horus the being. And I'm like, okay, we're going to clear that up. Because I've met characters that they'll arise and I'll go, you're an archetype. And they'll go, does that make us any less real? If we're here to help you, you're in an illusion. It's weird stuff. There's no owner's manual for this. Like, hey, man, you're going to start driving this, and this is what's going to start happening. But, we do our best to defend and protect, but we all show how to uplift. Rob, thank you so much. We're going to have you back on November 4th. Give a shout out. Let people know where to find you, brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure. You can find me at themysticalspiral.com and Exploring the Ka on YouTube. Thanks for having me on, guys. Anytime. I'll see you November 4th. Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Paula. Appreciate it.
We love you so much. Thank you for coming on, my brother.
Love you guys.
Love you too.